So what in the world is going on with Kilian? I tried to go buy a bottle of Angel's Share. I ended up walking out with a bottle of Roses on Ice because Kilian's Angel's Share was completely sold out. Online, at Saks nearby where I live, everywhere. So I have Roses on Ice and I thought I'll review this one instead of Angel's Share. So I bought this a week or so ago and I've been testing it out. But just before shooting this video, it turned out Saks now has some bottles of Angel's Share, but I'm waiting for it to be sent to me. But in today's video, I am talking to you about Roses on Ice, inspired by Hendrick's Gin on the rocks. I think that's what I get. So I'll tell you all about Roses on Ice coming right up. Oh, also, I did get a little mini bottle of Angel's Share, so I'm going to smell it for you on camera. I have not done that yet. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. That's right, today I'm talking about Roses on Ice. Two new fragrances which just launched recently at Kilian. And new bottles. They are refillable bottles once again. These things do come off. And these bottles are inspired by Art Deco, cocktail glasses that you would wear or you would have a gin tonic. And I think apparently this fragrance was inspired by Kilian's wife, I think, who loves gin tonics or gin on the rocks, I don't know. And I think that's what this fragrance is inspired by. So as I said, I went in to buy Angel's Share. It was completely sold out for a while and I ended up with this one because I thought, I'm a big fan of Hendrick's gin tonics. I love Hendrick's gin tonics a lot. Well, there was a time I was drinking them quite a bit, but kind of slowed down a bit. So I thought, okay, I'll go ahead and give this one a try since it sounds like an interesting fragrance. So today I'll tell you all about Roses on Ice and I'll do a little sniff test here of Angel's Share because I ended up getting a little gift. But before I get to the fragrances, if this is your first time tuning into my channel and you still haven't subscribed, please do click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So who is a fan of Kilian fragrances? And have you tried Roses on Ice or the other one, Angel's Share, which is part of the Liqueurs collection? So Roses on Ice to me is inspired by Hendrick's Gin. I didn't see the word Hendrick's Gin listed on their website, or at least I didn't look carefully. They did say gin tonic or gin on rocks, but because of the feature of rosin here and cucumbers, and Hendrick's Gin is distilled with cucumbers and roses, I figured this is kind of inspired by Hendrick's Gin on the rocks, like a gin tonic, which is something I used to have quite a bit of at the end of the 2000s, the beginning of 2010s. Kind of slowed down on gin tonics for a while, but I do enjoy it. It's a great combination of it's a great cocktail with fever tree tonic and of course the Hendrick's Gin by itself. So this is to me inspired by that particular cocktail, at least to me, especially when they call it the liqueurs, and this glass is also looks like a glass. I mean, the bottle looks like a glass that you would be sipping on a very fancy, a hotel bar cocktail. So this is a 2020 launch. It's part of the Liqueurs collection. It is created by perfumer Voelkl, who I read that this is his first fragrance for Kilian. A 50 ml bottle is $1.95. It comes in a very simplistic box. They're kind of getting away with doing the big coffret things and all these expensive prices. So $1.95 for a 50 ml is a better price, still on the pricier side, because when you multiply that by 2 to get 100 ml, it's about $400 for a 100 ml plus tax, obviously, here in the States. I would call this an Aromatic Aquatic or Aromatic Ozonic. Both of those styles come into mind because of the usage of a lot of cucumbers. And where are they getting the cucumber note? I think it comes from violet leaves, because to me it smelled like violet leaves as soon as I sprayed it and just smelled it. But for notes here, what we have at the top: cucumbers, juniper berries, and lime. Limes are usually found in gin tonics. Heart notes, rose base notes, musk and sandalwood. So there's not a lot of notes credited for this one. And when you wear it, I do want to say that I've had so much gin tonics, especially with Hendrick's gin. The wearing of this one seems like an overdose of cucumbers, whereas I wanted the actual crisp experience of a gin tonic. It's very gelatinous with the inside of a cucumber. You know how it's kind of like watery? That's the wearing experience with this one. So it does not really act like a gin tonic, more like a cucumber tonic. So it's like basically you've taken the cucumber, tons of it, and you've mashed the insides of it in your glass, and you're drinking this like mushy kind of gelatinous cucumber inside, which is not a bad thing if you like that sort of thing. But I always associate gin tonics being very, very crisp, especially with that juniper berry note in here. So when you first spray the fragrance, it's an overdose of cucumbers, like literally lots of cucumbers. And even though there are no marine notes in, a gin tonic, what they've given us is an aquatic that kind of goes marine as a smell to me. Now, where is that coming from? I don't know if they've added some cologne or something similar to that, but when I wear it, a lot of times I get this like kind of like almost fishy aquatic marine touch, which I don't usually find in a gin tonic unless I'm sitting at some kind of a coastal city on the water sipping on a gin tonic where I'm smelling the sea breeze. But I'm getting that here a lot with this one, especially when it blends with my skin, because out of the bottle I don't get that much, but here on my skin it's like marine, like I don't want this from a gin tonic. Why do they do this? But I think it's just the notes that they're using to create this like cucumbery accord, and I think that's what's being delivered, and somehow you have somewhat of an overdose of this like synthetic note or whatever note it is that gives you the feeling of a marine aquatic fragrance, which, as I said, gin tonics don't act marine whatsoever. So at the top the cucumbers are just overdose. It's like a lot of cucumbers, which kind of kills the juniper berries because I'm not getting much juniper berries or lime experience with this fragrance. That's how it pretty much starts. But in the heart notes you do get some rose, and I think this is kind of key for this to think that it is kind of inspired by a Hendrick's gin tonic, because when you read the bottle, and this is something I've known because I was really into Hendrick's, as I said, for a long time, it's distilled with cucumbers and roses, and they kind of try and get this experience here in this liqueur, or in this, not liqueur, in this fragrance. So you do pick up some rosy touches. It's light though, it's not like ultra rosy. And finally it's musky, and it's a little sandalwoody, because in the end it's not crisp at all. It's just smooth and creamy, and as I said at the top, it's kind of gelatinous, like however you experience the inside of a cucumber with the wateriness there, you really get to experience that wearing the fragrance. It's just jelly-like a feel, or the vibe you get with the fragrance on your skin or on your body. So in the end, what do I think about this fragrance? I think it was rushed. Personally, I wish I got a chance to smell Angel's Share, which I'm going to do here for you in a little bit, but I wanted to like the idea of a liqueur, boozy kind of fragrance, and I should have thought about it. I should have said, no, gin and vodka really don't act boozy to begin with in fragrances, even though this is these two fragrances, this one and Angel's Share, are inspired by liqueurs. This one really doesn't act like it, just because I've already known that gin and vodka just don't act boozy unless you've got like rum or cognac or whiskey or something. Then you have that kind of a boozy experience. A couple of other things I want to say. There's a fragrance by Creed called Royal Mayfair, which also has I think it's gin, and I think it's a gin tonic or gin with rose. I feel like that fragrance has done a much better job in creating a fragrance versus this. This one, just to me, feels like just an overdose of cucumbers, like too much cucumbers, and they need to tone it down and crisp it up a little bit. It just, as I said, the very first thing I started experiencing when I was wearing it and testing it out, it's that cucumber note, and the fact that it's very, very gelatinous, and kind of just how you visualize or experience when you're slicing into cucumbers and you take the inside out. That's the wearing experience, and I think it's just too much of it. If they toned it down a little bit, increase the juniper berries a little bit, and also increase the rose, because the rose is pretty faint in here. It's not like a lot of rose. And again, I'll compare it to something like Royal Mayfair, which is kind of not the same idea, but using somewhat similar notes. I much prefer that fragrance because that fragrance, it has some substance. Here, it's gushy and juicy, ozonic, and also, as I said, aquatic, because in the end it does smell a little marine-like you're actually experiencing a marine aquatic fragrance. And I'll say it again, it's not really supposed to be marine or aquatic, it's supposed to be a gin tonic. That's the idea that I had with this fragrance. So those are my thoughts on Kilian's Roses on Ice. But let me know if you guys have been wearing this, if you have a bottle, if you like it or you hate it, what did you think about it? Just let me know, put some comments down so I can find out. Also let me know about this bottle, this new bottle. These are two fragrances, Roses on Ice, Angel's Share, new fragrances that they've created. I personally like the bottle, but I think this kind of material will start getting dark, or not the glass part itself, but the plastic part. I think it'll start wearing out and it'll get scrapes and things, so it'll end up contrasting from the top to the bottom. So I've gone through so many bottles, I know pretty much how these will be. I'm being a little critical on this, but I guess I could be. I wanted to love this a little more. It's not turning out to be my favorite. I hope Angel's Share is as soon as I smell it for you for the first time. But you know, I like the brand. I like, you know, talking about it, and it's a little confusing to me now. They're doing different bottles. They've done so many changes with their bottles. Now we have new bottles, so are they going to change all the bottles to these fragrances styles? Because they already changed all the bottles. They have a section of fragrances called the liqueurs. They have the florals and whatever. They've kind of like separated all the fragrances into categories, and now we have the new liqueurs. Let's see what's going to happen, but it's a little confusing that they have all these differences. But do let me know if you're a fan of Roses on Ice and what do you think. I'd like to find out if there's an equal amount of love or for hate, because I feel like this can be a polarizing scent. I just don't like the overdose of cucumbers personally. I love to eat cucumbers and I love gin and tonics with cucumbers, but this, it's a little disappointment, unfortunately. So those are my thoughts on Roses on Ice. Let me test out Angel's Share. So Angel's Share, I received it as a gift, a little mini bottle as a gift. So one thing I forgot to mention about these two fragrances, Roses on Ice and Angel's Share, they do come in their large carafe bottles as well. So obviously the carafe bottle is like this, but this is a mini version of it. So this doesn't spray, but I also got a spray version of it so we can test it out, how this smells. I think I'm going to like this one because I like boozy fragrances, but we'll see. Immediately I can smell it. It smells great. No, this is, wow, this is definitely the kind of fragrance I like. Boozy, sweet, vanillic, fruity, honey, caramel. Wow, that is delicious. Literally delicious. Disappointed with Roses on Ice, but wow, this is so good. This really is good. So I would put this to test and see how it's going to work with me, but initial smell, I like it. It does remind me a little bit of apple brandy, a little bit, not too much. Maybe also their London, I forgot their London exclusive fragrance. Anyway, kind of sort of reminds me of those two, but this one's actually really delicious compared to those. This one seems like it also has a little substance. Apple brandy seems a little weak, but you know what, as it's drying down here on the strip, Angel's Share is kind of developing into like an apple liqueur a little bit. I don't know anything about the notes, but I'm curious, but really, that's really delicious. So I guess it makes sense you have one that's good and one that's not. It never turns out that both are good, but those are my thoughts on Kilian's Roses on Ice, and again, Angel's Share. Let me know what you think about Angel's Share. Did you like this fragrance or did you not like it? I'd like to find out. I know there's fans of Kilian out there, and I know there's haters out there too. So let me know what your thoughts are on the entire brand and also these two fragrances. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Otherwise, please like this video, please share it, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.